Hello, my name is Jaspal Sani. I'm from Loblaws, and today I want to talk to you about how to eat an elephant. The elephant here is a metaphor for an enterprise to describe the size of it, right? And it's well known that the only way to eat an elephant would be to have one bite at a time, right? And the main thing to keep in mind is that it's going to overwhelm you, right? The scale of it is going to be difficult to think about, right? Uh, let's step in and try to understand how big of of an enterprise we are. Why was this a massive journey for us? Which actually we're just getting started on, right? Loblaw is one of the biggest enterprises in Canada. Uh, 200,000 employees, 2,400 brick and mortar stores, uh, revenue in billions. The easiest way to put a shape around this is we're the biggest pharmacy, the biggest grocery chain, the biggest loyalty program in Canada, right? Uh, and for something this big, like all enterprises, we have had to evolve over the years, right? I earlier mentioned this has been a journey. What we refer internally about it is an accelerated outcomes journey, right? Nothing on the journey would be very different from how any other organization would would want to target this, would want to achieve this. What I want to talk to all of you today is how did we do it, right? I'll also be very honest, like it wasn't that we embarked in doing it this way, right? Like there wasn't anyone who was able to call it out on a sheet of paper that this is how we're going to move ahead. However, in hindsight, uh, this has been the journey for us, which I feel is relevant and why I feel it's important for us to share with all of the teams who are actually trying to take this journey or are probably already in it. So our journey started in 2012, right? We started our e-com businesses, right? We started, uh, hiring our own development teams. This is coming from a place wherein we had a lot of vendor partners who we were working with, right? But the good old days, as I refer to them as now, this is a time when all production workloads were actually supported by production support teams. We were still rolling infrastructure with hand, right? We literally had to create Excel sheets giving our requirements to teams, and they would do something, and then we would have to take it to another team. Uh, our change management processes were centrally managed, right? To give an example, in those days, if we had to do a deployment through our production system, we actually had to raise like a CRQ 5 days before the actual change, and it had to be approved by like a lot of individuals. Uh, our incident management processes were central, right? And what I mean by central is if you have an incident, you would actually get onto a bridge with 20, 30 people, none of whom would understand the business you are in, but they would only understand the role which they are playing, which is, hey, I'm from the network team, I'm from the Unix team, I'm from the database team, right? And as always is the case, is when I'm looking at my window of the ecosystem, everything seems to be okay, right? This is also the time when we were scaling very fast, right? I think during this period is when we actually scaled from a net revenue of $0 to $1 billion across all of our e-com platforms, which are groceries, loyalty, uh, high fashion, cosmetics. We started tinkering with the whole premise of, hey, we need to have application monitoring tools so that we could be informed about what's happening in our stack before our users are. Right? All in all, was a lot of hard work, and whatever we were doing was actually helping us. Right? However, typical of all scaling journeys, you reach a point wherein your development teams are very big, right? We started reaching a point wherein we started getting into, let's say, alerting chaos, right? We had so much alerting going on that it started creating this numbness to the ecosystem wherein things are such so chatty and we're not able to, even realize when to take an action and when not to take an action. This is also the time when we actually decided that the speed at which we were trying to grow, we were not going to be able to achieve what we wanted to if we stayed in our data centers. And that's where a lot of executive sponsorship came about to, hey, let's take it to the cloud, right? And that's, I feel also for me personally, was the most formative years of my journey with the enterprise, wherein coming from the production support journey, transitioning into an SRE journey, really allowed us to lean on our engineering craft uh, to go and do things which we did not want to uh, be dependent on others for, right? There was a lot of focus and discussion around guiding principles, right? We created a safe space for incident management, wherein our teams were no longer part of the centrally managed, incident process. We had like we actually reached an agreement that hey, whenever there is an incident on our production, we're not going to get onto a bridge. We would inform the teams that hey, there is an incident going on, and we'll keep on providing them updates. But we're not going to go and subject our teams to a place wherein they have to constantly go and provide updates, and they're not getting the thinking time. There was a lot of focus on creating safety for the team. Similar thing happened on change management. We practically said no to this whole approval process because our aspirations were not to go deploy once a day. Our aspiration was to create a place wherein our teams could deploy throughout the day without having to worry about seeking approvals, right? In another way, I also think we wanted our releases to be a non-event, right? That it's okay to fail. And the only thing which we cared about is if we fail, we should be able to roll back immediately. We massively moved away from dependence on external to our team, help, right? So infrastructure was completely self-owned by the SREs. Network posture was completely owned by the SRE. Security was owned by the SRE, right? Uh, the when I think of that time, what we achieved in that time is actually what paved the way for us to be successful as we moved into 2020. So 2020, the year which I don't feel any one of us are going to forget anytime soon, the pandemic caused a different kind of pressure and learning for us, right? When you're the biggest pharmacy, the biggest grocer in the country, and because of the pandemic, you're not able to support your customers. What happens? Those customers would come to your online from your e-com businesses. We learned things which we were never even which were never even coming to us, right? Our traffic volumes were 10 times. Like there were so many incidents wherein we would go hi-fi each other that, hey, hey, we hit a new record of what our systems could do, only to come in next morning and see that, hey, we've actually gone over that the next day, right? And a lot of what we achieved during that time, stabilizing our systems, are behaviors and things which we did 3 years before, which allowed us to be that resilient, which allowed us to be a lot more nimble in the face of changing circumstances, right? Our development teams were already mentally equipped with the idea of being on call 24/7. right? Our mind had already moved away from having a production support team as the first line of defense, right? We had embedded SRE pods who were on call 24/7. Uh, we were anyways operating on the model of infrastructure as code. Incident management changed from being an event to being a thing which happens which when you are moving very fast, right? Our change management processes were very simple, right? There wasn't in the light of the pandemic, they just got a lot more nimble, wherein go ahead and do what you need to stabilize the systems. And there was nothing holding us back. There was nothing anchoring us, which would slow us down, right? Uh, since we stabilized our businesses in the height of the pandemic and scaled them, a big shift has come about in the organization, right? Wherein we were able to go and demonstrate that if we empower our teams, if we allow outcomes to be decided by engineers on ground and not in these big Uber transformation models, we could actually move much faster, right? That's also a time when the SRE discipline actually was uh, ceased to be just a Loblaw digital focus to be an enterprise-wide focus, right? Wherein the guidance or the directive was simple as to, hey, if we have to take what we have achieved here and scale it for an enterprise, what all has to change, right? So we have kind of moved away since the last, Q3 of 2020 till now, wherein we moved away from the model of, hey, let these teams have a safe space to experiment, to let's scale this way of working across the enterprise, right? And that to me is the ethos of eating the elephant one bite at a time, right? Allow the space for experimentation, but there is going to come a time, there is going to come an opportunity when you would actually need to now literally go and scale the whole organization, right? And and we're on the right track. I wouldn't say we have done our journey, right? But the conversation has changed. Uh, our teams don't talk about application monitoring tools. They're talking about observability now, wherein how do we tie things in one pane of glass, because there is quite a bit of chaos at times when we have to find simple answers. Uh, Now we're thinking of we have these massive workloads in our data centers which we are trying to get out of, right? How can we actually run those workloads in a lot more nimble form, right? All the ethos like treat your infrastructure as cattle, not as pets, right? Incident management is changing, wherein we're saying every business unit, every application team should be running their own incidents, right? There shouldn't be a need for us to bring in, a team from the outside whose job is to, just beat people on a incident call, right? We want those teams to feel safe. We want those teams to not approach an incident as, hey, okay, we are safe now, let's go back and do whatever we were doing, right? We want them to care about it. We want them to own their postmortems. We want them to change their sprint focus based on what's happening on their production systems, like what feedback they're getting from the ecosystem. So to summarize as to where we are, right? What I would say is all enterprises which are trying to transform, you would always end up starting with an experiment. You would always create the safe space for your teams to go and try something, right? And then your strategy needs to change when you're starting from when you're scaling, right? When I think of all the things which we did, 2017, 2016, and even before that, it was a lot of permission which we were giving ourselves to fail, right? We never wanted to pick something cute. We wanted to pick something which was big enough that it actually is not, just ignored that, hey, it's not applicable to us, right? We did not want to follow a leader, right? We wanted to follow and lean on guiding principles instead, so that even when the leaders are not there, the team knows how to pivot, how to work, how to move ahead. And always remembers, then when you start, you're going to make decisions which you need to revisit, right? So there is no need to have everything prim and proper, right? But this thing has changed. Like for me, in my role right now as someone who's leading the SRE mandate for the enterprise, my learnings are very different over the last 1 year, right? The biggest thing is communication. You need to, as a leader, as a team, as a change agent, always communicate, and like you need to keep on communicating till you're tired of your own drumbeat, right? You also need to remember that while you as a team might have been on this journey for 3 years, the rest of the organization has not been there, right? So there's going to be a strong need to ensure the psychological safety. People are going to be worried that we are going to change, and change is not easy, right? You need to standardize ways of working while maintaining space for experimenting with things, right? You cannot just let your teams run wild wherein and go and pick any database you want. No. The one thing which has to stay constant is you have to stay constant to your guiding principles, right? One of the biggest learnings for us has been we thought we had figured it out, and now we just need to scale it. But we're also realizing there are some problems which we never had, right? Small problems, right? Like I said, we have brick and mortar stores. In the old world, when some of our systems which we used to run into the store, integrate with the stores, used to have an issue, we would just talk to our teams on Slack, let's say, right? We can't do that when we're trying to solve some other problems because our team doesn't even know how to speak French, and a lot of our stores actually are fluent in that, right? So some of the things are about technology problems which they just don't lend it themselves to how things have worked when you're running e-com businesses, right? However, give it enough time, these problems are solvable, right? One of the things which I didn't highlight, but it's evident, is executive sponsorship, right? These movements of changing of ways of working they can start at grassroots, but for them to succeed, for them to be missions which are going to change and transform enterprise, you need to have strong executive sponsorship, right? Like that was one of the things which I remember we were in this conversation with the PagerDuty team, and they're like, do you have the mandate, right? It's easy to want to change, but if you don't have executive sponsorship behind you, the roadblocks just become difficult. And with this, I would want to wish all of our teams, luck in taking on this journey. But rest assured, it's easy to eat the elephant. Thank you very much, and hope you enjoy the summit.